My name is Jack Turner, and when I moved into Maple Ridge Estates, I was looking for one thing: peace. After years of working long, unpredictable hours, I wanted a quiet place where nobody asked too many questions. Maple Ridge looked perfect: tree-lined streets, identical two-story houses, and the kind of quiet neighborhood where people waved politely but mostly kept to themselves. What I didn't realize when I signed that lease was that Maple Ridge also had one of the most aggressive HOAs I had ever seen, and the woman running it was named Karen Whitfield. Karen was the kind of person who treated HOA rules like federal law. Within my first week living there, I saw her walking around with a clipboard, inspecting trash bins and measuring grass height. She had opinions about everything: where people parked, how long holiday decorations stayed up, even what color porch lights were allowed. I mostly stayed out of her way. The only neighborhood amenity I really used was the community pool. It sat behind the clubhouse in the middle of the subdivision. It wasn't anything fancy, but after long days it was the perfect place to swim a few laps and relax. Every resident had a small electronic key fob to unlock the pool gate. Mine worked just fine for the first month. Then one afternoon I came home and found a letter taped to my front door. It had the HOA logo printed at the top and Karen's signature at the bottom. The message said my pool privileges were suspended immediately. No explanation. Just a statement saying I was no longer authorized to use the pool. At first I assumed it had to be some kind of mistake. So the next morning I walked over to the HOA office. Karen sat behind her desk like she owned the entire neighborhood. I asked why my pool access had been revoked. She didn't even look surprised. Instead, she said several residents had reported concerns about my use of the facility. I asked what concerns. She waved her hand dismissively. That information is confidential, she said. Then she added something that made it clear this wasn't a mistake at all. We'll be collecting your pool key today. I asked what rule I had broken. She just repeated that HOA decisions were final. I had spent years dealing with people who tried to push authority further than it legally went. Karen clearly believed her HOA title meant she could do whatever she wanted. Normally I would have challenged her right there, but instead I just nodded and walked out. 2 days later I was sitting on my front porch drinking coffee when a police cruiser rolled slowly down the street and stopped in front of my driveway. A uniformed officer stepped out. He walked toward my porch with the confidence of someone who believed he had full authority over the situation. He introduced himself as Officer Mark Whitfield. Yes, the same last name as Karen, and sure enough, he explained that he was her husband. He said he was there to collect my pool key on behalf of the HOA. I asked him why a police officer was handling a neighborhood rule dispute. He shrugged. My wife asked me too, he said. That was when I realized this situation had gone far beyond petty HOA drama. Using police authority for personal HOA business was a serious problem. But instead of arguing with him, I decided to let the situation unfold. I told him the pool key was inside and invited him to wait while I grabbed it. When I stepped back into the house, I picked up my phone and made a quick call. 15 minutes later, 2 black SUVs quietly pulled into the neighborhood. Several men stepped out wearing plain clothes. One of them walked straight up the driveway and flashed a badge. Federal Bureau of Investigation. Officer Whitfield's expression changed instantly. He looked at the badge, then at me, clearly trying to figure out what was happening. That's when I finally explained the part Karen had never bothered to learn. I wasn't just another homeowner in Maple Ridge. I was working undercover for a federal task force investigating misuse of authority by local officials. The agents standing in my driveway were part of that team. And now a police officer had shown up to enforce a private HOA dispute. Using his badge, using his patrol car, using his authority, the agents began asking questions immediately. Officer Whitfield quickly realized he had stepped into a situation far bigger than a neighborhood argument. He explained that he had only come because his wife insisted, but that explanation didn't erase the fact that he had used his position as a police officer to handle a personal HOA matter. Within 20 minutes, half the neighborhood had gathered outside watching what was happening. Nothing attracts attention faster than federal agents showing up in quiet suburbs. Then Karen arrived. She stepped out of her car looking irritated at first, but the moment she saw the agents and the police cruiser sitting in my driveway, her expression changed. She demanded to know what was going on. One of the agents calmly explained they were reviewing a situation involving possible misuse of law enforcement authority. Karen looked at her husband, then she looked at me, and that was the exact moment she realized something important. She had no idea who I actually was. For the next hour, the agents asked questions about the HOA complaints, the letters, and the request to confiscate my pool key. Karen's confidence disappeared piece by piece. Eventually, the agents finished their questions and left the neighborhood. Officer Whitfield left shortly after. The next morning, another letter appeared on my door. This one was very different. It said my pool privileges had been fully restored and apologized for the misunderstanding. Karen never contacted me again. These days, Maple Ridge Estate is quiet again. Neighbors still swim at the pool. Kids still ride bikes through the streets. And every time I unlock that pool gate, I'm reminded of something funny. Sometimes the people who try the hardest to show their power have absolutely no idea who they're trying to control.